Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Pavilion at Cascade Christian High School. Thanks for bearing with us through a little bit of technical difficulty, but we're on the air as the Cascade Christian Challenger girls open up their season against the Illinois Valley Cougars. Jim McCoy along with Mark McLemore. We got 1:06 left to go in the first half. And Mark, just maybe some of your thoughts on the first half as we have Olivia Miller at the free throw line.
Well, good second quarter surge now by the Challengers as they led 15-11 after one, but they've really pulled away here in the second quarter just with a lot of good defense actually by the Challenger girls, as Illinois Valley only has 1 point here in the second quarter and the Challengers have put up 20.
Well, in the first quarter, it ended up being, 15-11 at the end of the first. And here in the second quarter, as you mentioned, a real surge. Seemed like the Challengers, you can kind of tell this is their first game. And they're kind of working out the bugs as they see their first live action of the season. Glad you could join us on Table Rock Sports. This is really kind of the first broadcast of its kind for us here with Cascade Christian. I know that they've been in the gym for a couple of matchups with St. Mary's, and in years past have also broadcast during the Christmas Classic that we'll have coming up in a couple of weeks tonight. But this is a kind of a dedicated, if you will, Cascade Christian broadcast tonight. Ordinarily, of course, a lot of you folks hear Mark and I on the nail as we bring you Challenger Sports. Right now, the Challengers, it's Paisley Fish driving the baseline. Her shot goes in and out, and she has really, the new player, transfer from North Medford, has been a real spark plug so far for Cascade. Shot along the baseline by Allura Tallman is rejected by the Challengers. They come away with it. And it looks like we have end of the ball game. Making a late appearance is freshman Lainey Pearson. Of course, we know her older brothers Gabe and Will from football. Cross court, Willard. Over for Callie Swain, volleyball player who plays basketball in the winter. Fish moving over to her right, passes to Willard. Willard feeds it down low, and driving to the hoop is Eliana Haglock. And Haglock, Mark, you recall, is a player that really came on last year as a sophomore, kind of pressed into duty with all the injuries that the squad had.
Yeah, second year for her playing varsity. Actually, she played a little bit as a freshman, and we've seen improvement in her game all the way along, and playing some good minutes tonight. So far, she's got 3 points in the game.
And now make that 4. Nice touch at the free throw line. And Pearson will go ahead and go back to the Challenger bench. Into the ball game, Callie Swain, 5'4" sophomore. 32-16. Mentioned that the Challengers, this is their first appearance of the 2019-20 campaign, and that will mark the end of the first half of play. Your score at the half is Cascade Christian 32 and the Illinois Valley Cougars 16. Just 1 point for the Cougars in the second half.
Actually 4, my math's not, or 5, my math's not very good.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. He's been a busy man so far coaching the freshman team and such. We're glad we're able to get this broadcast underway for you. This is our first look at the Challenger girls for the season. Before we go to break, again, grateful for the opportunity to partner up with Table Rock Sports and bring you some video streaming of Challenger Sports so you get that added element of the video. We've got the Challenger boys now warming up on the floor. They came off of a victory on Saturday night against the Rogue River Chieftains, 67-35. So the Challengers starting their season a little bit later than a lot of the other teams in the Oregon 3A. I think the Challenger girls, this is probably, they're the latest school to get their season underway, but I'm sure that's been valuable for Coach John Thomas, who has first year with the program, although he's been a veteran coach around the Rogue Valley for quite some number of years. I can remember doing play-by-play for South Bedford way back in the day, and JT serving as an assistant to Amy Tiger, and we're going back to the days of Ted Stark and John Hammock, which for those of you who have been around Rogue Valley sports any length of time, you know that is quite some time ago. But anyway, what we'll do it right now, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when we return, Mark will offer us some halftime stats. Right now, your score at the half is the Cascade Christian Challengers 32, and the Illinois Valley Cougars 16. We'll be back after this timeout on Table Rock Sports.
Hello, I'm Lennox Scott, Chairman and CEO of John O. Scott Real Estate. In 1931, my grandfather started John O. Scott Real Estate. I would like to take a moment to thank you for your trust in allowing us to serve your real estate needs. Helping you realize your home ownership dreams is why we do what we do. But one thing is clear, it takes place one client at a time, each individual buyer or seller, because at the end of the day, it comes down to you. The past few years have been an incredible time of growth for us. We now have over 110 offices and more than 3,000 broker associates in the states of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and California. But our higher purpose is living life as a contribution.
And right back here at the Pavilion at Cascade Christian High School, Jim McCoy along with Mark McLemore. It's halftime. The Cascade Christian Challengers seeing their first action of the 2019 campaign, leading 32-16. Again, to kind of recap the first half for you, it was really a nip and tuck battle here in the first quarter. I give a lot of credit to Illinois Valley's, now we can get the right roster here. Alara Tellman really showed a lot in the first quarter. We also saw some good play from Alexis Navarro leading the charge for Illinois Valley. Over on the Challengers side, Caitlin Willard got it going early for the Challengers. And one player that we're seeing for the first time, but she's no stranger to high school basketball here in Southern Oregon, is Paisley Fish, the transfer from North Medford. So kind of taking a look at that Challenger squad as Mark is continuing to tally things up. We have a real mix of returning players and some new players that will give us kind of a nice mix for the team. Back after a complete year off with a knee injury, Liz White, you may recall, she was a starter as a freshman at the point guard spot. Missed all of last year recovering from a torn ACL, but she's mended up and ready to go once again. Caitlin Willard, she's a junior now, but she's been a starter since her freshman season. Sophie Ferreira has been another player that's been dealing with nagging injuries to her knee over the course of her career. Looks like she's kind of playing in a sixth-man type of role for the Challengers, and I think she gives them a nice spark off the bench. Then we mentioned Haglock earlier. Neha Joseph, I like some of the offense I'm seeing from her. She's always been kind of that pesky defensive player, but what you can see now is that she's starting to develop more of an offensive game. And when you have players like that, when you have that depth, should you encounter injury problems, such as the Challengers have encountered in the past, it's nice to have that person that you can say, okay, if we got a next man up, you're it, and we feel confident about what you can do.
Absolutely, and so I got some stats here for you for the first half.
Fire away.
The Challengers shoot 12 for 31. That's 39% in the first half. That's from the field. From the free throw line, 7 for 11, 64%. Leading the way for Cascade Christian, Caitlin Willard has 10. Paisley Fish also has 10 points. So the two of them have 20 of the Cascade Challenger 32 points. Joseph has 2. Sophie Ferreira with 2. Liz White has 4. And Elena Haglock with 4. Over for Illinois Valley, Alexis Gomez has 4. Alexis Navarro has 5. Tallman with 2. Bailey Moore has 2. And Megan Lemasters with 3. To recap the scoring, both teams turning the ball over quite a bit in that first half. The Challengers with 12 turnovers and Illinois Valley with 14. The Cougars shot just 1 for 5 from the free throw line. That's 20%. And they were 7 for 23 from the field. That's 30%. So both teams shooting in the 30s. Challengers doing a little bit better job of getting offensive opportunities as they got 31 shots to just 23 for Illinois Valley. So obviously the Challengers hitting the offensive glass and getting some second chance opportunities has really helped them. A couple extra turnovers for Illinois Valley as well. So that's kind of where we are here in the first half, Jim.
Well, that's the thing. You take a look at that first half. One of the things I think it has been impressive for the Challengers is their ability to go out and run the break. They've gotten some of those quick and easy opportunities, those easy looks at the hoop. And like the boys on Saturday night, as we saw, there were a couple times maybe they went in a little too hard and, just maybe a little bit of adrenaline flowing. But you can see that, not unlike the boys, their MO is going to be to get up and down the floor. And, hey, 32 points and a half of basketball for the first night of the season, I'd say that's a pretty decent start.
It absolutely is. Anytime you're getting 15 points a quarter, you're going to be happy with that, especially on the girls' side of the coin. So did a nice job in that first half, 15 in the first and 17 in the second for the girls. And they held Illinois Valley, as we mentioned, to just 5 points in that second quarter. So a good defensive effort from them as well.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. Once again, we're pleased to be able to partner up with Table Rock Sports and bring you some Challenger action via video streaming. Want to thank Nate Goodyear. That's the name, right? Yes, Nate Goodyear is working the cameras tonight and training me up, this old radio guy, on how video works, and looking forward to doing some more of this as the season goes by. When we return from the break, Mark, I'm going to give you a little opportunity to put in a plug for the Christmas Classic, because that's going to be a big one, and no doubt I have the feeling that all this gear we have around us is going to be somewhat of a mainstay. So stick around. We'll take a quick timeout, and then we'll be back with more hoops on Table Rock Sports.
What is a getaway? Is it leaving the familiar behind, or discovering a place that feeds your hunger, where passion sings, food is a culture, and every performance demands an encore? So let the journey be your destination. Then feast your eyes and nourish your soul in Southern Oregon. Your reservation starts when you travel Medford.
For several weeks, the Southern Oregon Sports Commission has shown you examples of good sportsmanship and bad sportsmanship. Here's why. 75% of youth athletes quit sports by the age of 13 because they're not having fun. 75% of rookie referees also quit each year. Why? Well, it's because of the way they're treated by coaches and parents. We can do better. We must do better. Know your role. Learn more at southernoregonsports.com.
Welcome back to the Pavilion. We're about 1 minute away before the start of the second half, and we've got a big basketball tournament coming up just after Christmas, the Cascade Christian Christmas Classic. And, Mark, once again this year, it's going to be a good one. I like the mix of local favorites along with some of the best 3A teams in the state.
Yeah, you got Dayton and Santiam Christian, who's ranked number 1. Santiam Christian in the 3A. Dayton, always a good basketball team. They're going to be here, as well as local teams like Eagle Point and, others. Of course, the Challengers, both boys and girls, are in it. And the JV tournament on the other side of in the court 3 over there, we have 10 girls teams and the JV bracket and 8 boys teams. So a total of 34 teams going to be playing here over the 26th, 27th, and 28th there right after Christmas. And always a good tournament, always good turnout. Like you mentioned, a lot of different teams from all over the area. And Klamath Falls has a couple of teams in it. So it's a good mix of different teams, and it's a really good tournament. Hidden Valley's coming over from Grants Pass, so it's a lot of different teams on the boys and girls side, and it's a very competitive tournament as well. Winners brackets games are usually in the evening, and if you're unfortunately not making the winners bracket, you end up sometime in the morning.
All right, well, make sure, you keep your eyes open for that. Also, for you Challenger faithful that are wondering about additional games that may be broadcast on Table Rock Sports, make sure you visit tablerocksports.net and check in from time to time, and we'll keep you posted on upcoming broadcasts. Here to start the second half, the Challengers in white with the gold numerals. Paisley Fish, newcomer to the team. She's a part of a pretty big junior class here at Cascade Christian. The 5'6" guard is one of the top scorers for the Challengers in the first half, but loses control of the ball as Illinois Valley in black gets it back, moving from right to left from where we stand. They're looking over in the high post. Pass intended for Gomez, now out in the corner, and A little shot from the perimeter, a little bit short. Offensive rebound, however, by Gomez. Kicks it back out. Driving to the hoop is Navarro. Navarro drives her shot a little too hard off the glass. With the rebound is junior Rebecca Clark. She tries to pass up the floor for Fish. It is broken up by the Cougars. Miller drives. Now kick it out on the near baseline to us for Miller. Now back up top, it'll go for Navarro.
Challengers in a 2-3 zone right now. Steal there.
Fish with the basketball quickly up the floor. Driving to the hoop is Willard. Jay Banks at home for 2.
And Willard's getting the benefit of some of these runouts that you mentioned. The Challengers doing a good job of running out in transition and getting easy opportunities at the hoop.
So the Challengers extend their lead. It was just a 4-point lead at the end of 1, so a lightning hot second quarter for the Challengers as they dialed up the defensive intensity. Shot there on the near baseline by Miller, no good, but bagging it from downtown, Alexis Navarro. She's got a nice-looking shot.
Yeah, 8 points for her so far in this one.
Fish with the basketball, passes right wing over for Liz White. White played as a freshman. You can see that knee brace on her and coming back from ACL, but she's an adept ball handler for the Challengers and I think helps give this Challenger team a lot of basketball skill. White runs it down over in front of the Challenger bench. And now she's going to drive, kicks it out for Clark. Clark back to Willard. Willard, an open look, and she knows what to do, extending that Challenger lead. She's got 14 in the game.
Well, you can see Illinois Valley running like a 1-2-2 zone, and the Challengers doing a good job of attacking by getting the ball inside.
36-19 is your score. Challengers come away with the basketball. Willard, her shot just a little bit short, and the rebound taken by the Cougars. Outlet goes for Navarro. Navarro quickly up the floor. Getting a hand on the pass is White. Now we have Gomez and Fish chasing it down. No contact there between the two players, and this was last touched by the Cougars.
Turnover back to the Challengers, and that's one of the things the Challengers have been doing a good job of is getting Illinois Valley to turn the ball over, and Challengers taking advantage of their extra opportunities.
Neha Joseph back into the ball game. She had a bucket in the first half. Drives it past midcourt. Over to Clark. They try to get inside, kind of a wild pass, but able to save it as White. White, Joseph, guard-to-guard exchange. Now White starts a drive.
And I think they're going to give Haglock for 3 seconds in the key.
Yeah, you only get so much time in there, and once you're at the point where you start pitching down tent stakes, they tell you can't do that.
Yeah.
36-19. 5:02 left to go in the third. Challengers, their first game of the season, shot no good by the Cougs. And we have a whistle underneath. Taking the rebound is White. And that will go against Olivia Miller, the 5'5 junior. Whistle for her first personal, and that's the first team foul of the second half.
Size-wise, both these teams seem to be matching up pretty closely. Both teams running a zone most of the game so far.
Haglock starts to make a move, gets the ball stuck on her hip, and it's taken away by the Cougars. Bounce pass ends up with Moore. And then firing from downtown is Navarro. Ball's down in the corner. Miller runs it down to get back up top. Navarro's going to try that lefty shot. In and out, no good. Ball's tapped back out to her. Now she'll pass it over, and shooting from downtown is Bailey Moore.
Challengers finally get a rebound.
And moving up the floor is Willard. Willard, kind of an awkward move to the hoop, but has just enough body control that she's able to get up the shot off the glass, and she'll score and gets the hoop in the arm and a shot at a three-point play.
She's got another one, and that gives her 16 so far in this one.
And she's another one of those players that you can count on for scoring, but you recall she had a problem with a hand injury that kind of limited her effectiveness down the stretch last season.
4 for 4 for her from the free throw line.
And Willard extends the Challenger lead to 20 at 39-19. So her and Navarro both putting on something of a shooting clinic tonight. Pass up on the high post. They try to work it down, but it's broken up by, that is, I
Sophie
think, Ferreira.
And a nice active hands by her down there. You know, she had her hands up. She was able to get in the passing lane, tip that ball to herself, and ends up going to the free throw line on the other end now after she attacks the rim.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mark, when you've got a player like Sophie Ferreira coming off your bench, you've got a good team.
Well, and, you know, I think she's going to work her way into this. We'll see how it plays out, but she certainly seems like she'll work her way into the starting lineup at some point during the season. I know she's coming back from that knee surgery, and I'm sure she's trying to take it real easy at this point in the season.
Yeah, and it's been a real nagging, persistent issue she's had. But she misses the second attempt. Coming up with a rebound is Moore for Illinois Valley. Quickly up the floor go the Cougars. Work the ball down on the low post. And the shot by LeMasters is no good. Challengers with the basketball now. Ferreira going to go drive to the hoop. Her shot off the glass just a little too hard. No good. Haglock with the offensive rebound. She can't get it to go, but there is Ferreira to clean it up and give the Challengers 41 points on the night. So a timeout called on the floor. And Mark, was that
a full timeout?
It's a full timeout. So we'll go ahead and take a moment to recognize our sponsors, and we'll be back with more hoops on Table Rock Sports.
Hello, I'm Lennox Scott, Chairman and CEO of John O. Scott Real Estate. In 1931, my grandfather started John O. Scott Real Estate. I would like to take a moment to thank you for your trust in allowing us to serve your real estate needs. Helping you realize your home ownership dreams is why we do what we do. But one thing is clear, it takes place one client at a time, each individual buyer or seller, because at the end of the day, it comes down to you. The past few years have been an incredible time of growth for us. We now have over 110 offices and more than 3,000 broker associates in the states of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and California. But our higher purpose is living life as a contribution.
Back at the Pavilion, Challengers up in this one, 41-19. Coming out of the timeout, the Cougars missed a shot. Challengers with the rebound, and you can see there they end up coming up short on their end of the floor. Firing from downtown is Moore. Her shot no good. There with the rebound is Ferreira for Cascade Christian as she lurches forward. Tries to get the ball up court. She ends up tumbling to the floor, and we end up with a whistle called against the Cougs. Third personal foul for Laura Tallman. Tallman will go to the IV bench, have a seat with 2:41 left to go in the third quarter. Challengers leading, dare I say, comfortably in this one. Ferreira drive to the hoop. She kind of got stuck in a funny spot. She was just right underneath the backboard and ends up coming down on her.
Yeah, and I think she got a little bit of a hip check is really what the officials called on that. She got bumped as she was trying to finish that at the rim there, and she'll go to the free throw line.
Sophie Ferreira, senior forward. Seen a lot of varsity action over the years. She gets the friendly roll on the first attempt.
That's her 5th point on the night.
Plays with a lot of intensity and energy. Second attempt had a good flow on it, just a little bit short, maybe not enough leg underneath it.
Well, it's everyone's first game, right? So
Yeah.
you're always got those legs that are a little bit tired
Yeah.
here as we get into the third and fourth quarter.
42-19 with 2:21 left to go in the third. on your John L. Scott scoreboard. Firing from downtown is Bailey Moore. Cougars with the offensive rebound. Moore with it, right at the top of the key. She'll feed it down on the low post, and they'll go ahead and kick it out for Navarro. And Navarro hits the triple.
That's her third three of the night. She's got 11 points. She's been the bright spot for Illinois Valley so far in this one.
Challenger lead at 20. Rebecca Clark out on the high right wing. Pass for Joseph. Works it over for... Now that's one thing you have to get used to with girls basketball. You get those ponytails
Covering up their numbers.
obscuring.
Yeah,
I believe that's Lainey Pearson in the game.
Makes it hard to pick up different numbers.
And it usually takes a little, especially with the newer players, get used to seeing them in uniform. Ferreira, over the years, have gotten to know well. Joseph and Clark and those players. Right now, the ball, we have a wrestling match going on in the backcourt. Back there is Caitlin Willard. Also there is Olivia Miller for the Cougars.
Yeah. And I think Caitlin's going to pick up her second personal.
For the Challengers, that's just their first team foul of the second half.
Yeah, it's been, since both teams are playing zone, it's been somewhat of a clean game here in the second half, especially. Challengers a little more man-to-man in the first half.
Miller with the basketball. Cross court it goes over in front of the Cougar bench to Navarro. And Moore tries a pass that ends up going behind. It looks like somebody zigged when they should have zagged. And now with a drive to the hoop, that's Olivia Miller, and we have a whistle stopping play. Foul against the Challengers, I presume. And that'll go against Lainey Pearson, the freshman. Got to know her a little bit, helping out with the middle school track team last year. Throws the javelin and also, I think, has some potential in the long jump if she so desires. Joseph to the bench. Paisley Fish back in. Second attempt. That one goes for Miller, making it 42-23. Fish to Clark. Pass nearly taken away by Navarro. Pass goes over, right-hand wing. Driving the baseline is
Sophie Ferrara.
And Challengers come up empty on that time down the floor. Coming up with the offensive rebound. That won't go for Illinois Valley. Now we have a scrum on the floor. Down low we have
I think someone
Paisley Fish. Maybe looks like she took a shot in the mouth.
in the mouth, possibly.
She's just kind of
Collecting herself.
yeah. Wants the license plate number of that truck. Fortunately, it looks like she'll be okay. And they end up calling jump ball on that, so possession goes to the Challengers. Fish with the basketball up the floor to Clark. Clark tied up, though. And
back goes the ball to Illinois Valley.
Clark, a relative newcomer to basketball, was talking with her mom, Tiffany, earlier today that up until last year, she hadn't played basketball. And last year she was hoping to maybe learn her way at the junior varsity level. Unfortunately, the numbers were so low, she got pressed into varsity action.
Yeah, and that's the way it can be. And this year, though, they have a good group of freshmen, the girls do, that are playing JV this year. So hopefully they'll be able to develop some more depth.
Restocking the pond. Meanwhile, with the basketball is Fish. She ends up, I tell you, who's shown some active hands defensively has been Olivia Miller and Bailey Moore, both for Illinois Valley, trying to disrupt the Challenger flow offensively any way they can.
Well, and give them credit. This game is getting out of hand a little bit, but they're still playing and battling hard.
With the basketball, driving to the hoop, kissing it off the glass, Sophie Ferreira.
Feel like she's getting some of her touch back in the second half here.
And the shot in and out at the end of the quarter for the Cougars. Your score after three, it's the Challengers 44 and the Cougars 23. We'll take a quick timeout and then be back with more hoops on Challenger Sports.
Dear Dad, I was afraid to say this to your face, but I heard you yelling again from the stands during my game. You were shouting at the coach, the refs, even the other parents. It embarrasses me when you yell at everyone. It really stresses me out. I love sports. I love my team. I just want to play, but not if you always lose your temper. Love, Katie.
Know your role. Learn more at southernoregonsports.com.
To me, when our customers come in and shop with us, a good share of them, probably the best compliment that I feel I can get is when the customer just shops up and down the aisles and doesn't look at the price tag on the item. They know that if they buy their weekly, monthly, daily needs, that they will save money shopping at our store. That's the best compliment I can get.
Get ready to start the fourth quarter of play. The Challengers. If you're a Challenger fan, you got to be feeling good. Another productive quarter for them with 12 points. Meanwhile, Illinois Valley with the basketball. Moore tries a drive. It's broken up, but they manage to keep control. Illinois Valley does. And they get ball back out for Miller. Miller, left of the top of the key, goes up top for Navarro. Navarro moving to her left. She's a lefty player. And now she's being guarded by Liz White. Try a pass down on the low post. It ends up going through the hands of Alara Tallman.
But off of one of the challengers, I think. I think they're saying it's Illinois Valley ball.
I do believe you're right. Here comes the inbound. Bounce pass to Moore. Moore, a little drive. Her shot off to the left. Ball's loose on the floor.
She gets her own rebound, I think, and then gets tied up. And so that's going to be, or did they call a foul? It looks like they called a foul. It's going to be IV ball underneath.
So Sophie Ferreira whistled for her second personal of the game. That's just the third team foul of the half for the Challengers. Now the ball ends up down in the corner as the Cougars try to get something going here. Navarro with the basketball, corner to the free throw line. Cross court it goes for Miller. Miller, her shot off the window, and White gets the rebound. White quickly up the floor for Ferreira, but Ferreira can't quite get there. It was like a 40-foot pass, but Ferreira was about 10 feet behind it.
Yeah, and that's the one thing the Challengers have struggled with in this game is they do have a lot of turnovers.
19-point lead for Cascade. To their credit, on the other end, fortunately, the defense has been good, and they've hit a good number of their shots. Ferreira with the steal for Cascade. Whistle and a foul in the backcourt. And that's going to go against Bailey Moore. For Moore, she's in foul trouble now with her third personal of the ball game. And now the Cougs stand at 16 fouls in the half. Ferreira behind the stripe to Willard, now to White. White starts to make a move.
Timeout Challengers,
and
I think.
a timeout called on the floor.
It's going to be a full.
It's a full timeout, so that'll give us an opportunity to recognize our sponsors. 6:50 left to go in the ball game. Challengers 44, Cougars 23. We'll take a timeout, and then we'll be back with more basketball here on Table Rock Sports.
It takes meticulous planning, continuous monitoring, and forward thinking to deliver the perfect 3-egg omelet.
For several weeks, the Southern Oregon Sports Commission has shown you examples of good sportsmanship and bad sportsmanship. Here's why. 75% of youth athletes quit sports by the age of 13 because they're not having fun. 75% of rookie referees also quit each year. Why? Well, it's because of the way they're treated by coaches and parents. We can do better. We must do better. Know your role. Learn more at southernoregonsports.com.
6:50 left to go in the ball game, and then stick around. We'll have Challenger boys basketball coming up as they take on the Illinois Valley Cougars. That game slated for a 7:30 start. And again, that's going to be on Table Rock Sports. Just visit their menu at TableRockSports.net and go ahead and click on the little play icon, and you're good to go. Liz White with the basketball for the Challengers goes to the hole, and again, she's kind of in there low, and as she makes her move, she ends up drawing the foul.
Yeah, and she did a nice job of, anytime that zone extends out like it did there, there's lots of gaps that you can sneak into. They're playing you so far out on the court, you try to take advantage of those gaps. Normally you can dish to one of your post players once you get inside there, but Liz got all the way to the rim that time. Misses the first free throw, however.
Just a little bit long, but again, a top player for the Challengers her freshman year. Played the point all season long. She ended up hurting her ACL late in the season. Then I think partly due to the timing of the surgery, and I think also partly to just needing that long extended recovery, missed all of last season. Here she is here. The second attempt is a little bit long. The rebound comes down to Alexis Gomez, the 5'8 junior. Ball's up the floor for Navarro. Navarro between the circles now. Sets up the offense. Passes over on the right-hand wing for Gomez. Gomez. And now LeMasters. Her little shot from about 13 feet is good.
And there's a foul.
So LeMasters with a nice-looking shot. And she'll have a shot at the three-point play.
And I think Willard picked up her third foul on that play.
So for the Challengers now, though they only have 4 team fouls in the half. And LeMasters takes care of the free throw.
She's got 6 points in the game, LeMasters does.
Well, she looks like she has a nice touch, a player that you get her in the right spots, she can really help you. Kind of a high post type of player.
Yep.
6:22. White feeds Callie Sweem. Sweem coming off the Challenger bench. Her shot, nothing but glass, but there is White with it. White tries to feed it inside for Haglock, and the pass broken up by the Cougars. So, as you said, Mark, while they are trailing in this ball game by a fair amount, they haven't quit playing.
No, they haven't. They're playing good. They've actually slowed the Challengers down a little bit since those first 2 quarters. Playing the zone.
Attempts a drive and then loses the handle on the basketball. Then you end up with Sweem and Gomez fighting for it. Alternating possession arrow goes to the Challengers. White with the inbound to Fish. Pass just a little bit sloppy and, kind of what I call those opening game blues.
I don't think that's a correct call, but nobody's going to correct him. But I believe that you have to have possession in the front court in order for it to be a back court violation.
Well, and to your point, she did
not have possession.
No.
So I'm not sure about that call, but nevertheless, a Challenger turnover.
With the basketball.
We're not the ones with the whistles, right?
No, our vote doesn't count. Takeaway by White. White quickly up the floor for Fish. Fish drives to the hoop. Her shot is blocked, but there with the putback is Sophie Ferreira, and as we figured, she's provided a nice spark off the Challenger bench.
She's got 9 points, all of them. I think she had 2 at half, so she's got 7 of those 9 here in the second half.
LeMasters with the basketball, bounce pass, and a shot. Good look there by Tallman, but she can't get it to go. And LeMasters.
No, I think it's Gomez with the hoop, and she'll go to the free throw line.
So Gomez with an opportunity at a 3-point play. 18-point lead for the Challengers. Gomez. Nice form on the shot, but just a little too much English. It pops in and out. Ferreira fights for the ball underneath, and they're going to call her for a travel. And Ferreira's like, darn shoes.
Well, and she stepped out of bounds anyway, so it really wouldn't have mattered if she traveled or not.
Inbounding is Moore. Gets it for Gomez. Gomez, top of the key, passes right wing for Moore. She'll bounce pass over for Gomez. Gomez feeds it. And now they work it along the baseline, but they're going to call for carrying the basketball.
And another turnover for Illinois Valley. They've struggled with that all night.
5:03 left to go on the ball game. Challengers, their opening night. The Cougars come in with a 1-1 mark on the season. Joseph into the ball game for the Challengers. She'll feed it down on the low block, and Haglock kind of had a funny look at the hoop. But there with the putback attempt is Ferreira. She cans it. She'll go to the line.
And Ferreira's been on that glass all night long here. And well, more especially in the second half, where she just picked up all the loose change and put it back for the Challengers. And she gets another bucket there. She's got 11 points and an additional free throw here to see if she can make it 12. And she does.
Sophie Ferreira. Like you said, Mark, you got to imagine her role is only going to grow as she continues to work her way back into the rotation and gain confidence with that repaired knee.
Well, and you can see her gaining a little confidence even in this game as we've been going along.
Pass broken up by Eliana Haglock.
I think they're going to call her for a foul here.
For Ellie, that's her second personal of the ball game. The Challengers with their 16th foul, so they'll go into the penalty on the next one. And Rebecca Clark returning for Cascade as Haglock will take a breather. Pair of juniors. Well, of course, we've talked for years about this class of 2021 is a big one for Cascade, and so a lot of junior representation on both the boys and the girls roster.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest classes I think they've had at Cascade in recent history anyway.
Yeah, probably not quite as big as that 2018 class, but
right.
Pretty close.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we have a drive to the hoop and an offensive rebound hauled in by Alora Tallman.
And she's fouled, I think, on the rebound, so it's going to be 1-on-1. She's going to go free throw line.
And the foul will go against Rebecca Clark. For Rebecca, that's her first personal of the ball game. Challengers now in the penalty with 4:19 left to go in the ball game. Challengers have managed to stay relatively foul-free throughout this ball game, which has not always been the case in the past.
No, it hasn't been there, especially when, and it seems like it's always when you're, a little bit challenged depth-wise that you get yourself into foul trouble, and that's certainly what they did last year.
Well, and you think about those seniors that we had last year, all physical players, whether it's Abby Alexander or Mallory Mielke, Emily Stevens, Audrey Quast could be a physical player from her guard spot.
Yep.
So this team maybe a little bit more finesse-oriented. But again, I can see that we got some scrappy players on this Challenger roster, though, as well. Cougars with the basketball. More with the drive to the hoop. Her shot off the glass. Rolls around and down.
4 points for Moore tonight.
49-31 on your John L. Scott scoreboard. 3:58 left to go in the ball game. Fish with the basketball to Joseph. Feeds it in the low block to Ferreira. Ferreira stands kind of flat-footed. The ball goes up, and then it goes down.
Got a shot blocked there.
And looks like call does not go the Challengers' way. We'll put it that way. And then the Cougars have it back now with 3:44 to go. Navarro driving the left side. Her shot high off the glass, no good. Rebound by Ferreira. She's been doing it all here in the second half. Ferreira up the floor, now to White. White shakes a defender. Her shot just a little bit over and no good, but there with the putback. Well, who else?
Sophie Ferreira.
Sophie Ferreira lighting it up here in the second half. As the Challengers' lead is now 20. How many is that for her in the second half? A truckload?
She's got 12 in the second half of her 14.
Joseph with the basketball up the floor for Fish. Fish contested, and even though her shot is good, they say that she shuffled the feet before she set. And it'll be a turnover against the Challengers.
And it looks like the Challengers going to bring in some of the reserves here now with 3 minutes to go.
Coach John Thomas emptying his bench, so we have Laney Pearson in the ball game.
Haglock back in. So actually,
Caitlin Willard.
Most everyone's played over there on the bench, though.
Yeah, I think about the only person we haven't seen yet is Hannah Hensley. Shot by the Cougars, no good. White with a rebound. She'll quickly hustle it up the floor, looking for Willard. Willard starts to drive, kicks it out, and starting to make a move is Fish. Now they'll get over for White. She has an open look. The shot hits the back iron. No good. Rebound comes out to the Cougars. Dishing off is Moore. Moore for Navarro. They try to feed it right of the lane to Moore, and as she makes a move, it's taken away by Haglock. Haglock now outletting for Fish. Fish, little stutter step, goes to the hoop with the left hand, a little bit short. Nice looking idea, though. Pearson has it. Tries to kind of pass out of an awkward spot on the floor as Callie Sweem checks in. Not sure I caught the call on it, but it looks like it's
actually it went off one of the Illinois Valley players and rolled out of bounds. So the Challengers keep the ball.
Pearson with the inbound, looking for Sweem. Breaking up the pass defensively is Olivia Miller. So the Challengers get to try it again. Sweem will take care of the inbound this time. Looking for an open player. Feeds it to Pearson. Pearson, bounce pass to Sweem. Sweem has it. Passes up top for Fish. Fish with 1:58. Just going to kind of slow it down a little bit. And her entry pass intended for Haglock taken away. And driving to the hoop is Gomez. But again, a couple of challengers there. Looked like Paisley Fish there on the action. Ball ends up going out of bounds to Illinois Valley. 1:48 left to go in this one. The Challengers, their first game of the 2019-20 campaign. They'll be in action against Hosanna Christian on Thursday. LeMasters collects the loose ball, feeds it to Gomez. Gomez drives to the hoop. Kind of a little baby hook. And it falls to make the game 51-33.
Timeout on the floor.
Timeout called.
Full timeout.
1:34 left to go. We'll pause for messages, and then when we return, we'll have more high school basketball for you on Table Rock Sports.
Hello, I'm Lennox Scott, Chairman and CEO of John O. Scott Real Estate. In 1931, my grandfather started John O. Scott Real Estate. I would like to take a moment to thank you for your trust in allowing us to serve your real estate needs. Helping you realize your home ownership dreams is why we do what we do. But one thing is clear, it takes place one client at a time, each individual buyer or seller, because at the end of the day, it comes down to you. The past few years have been an incredible time of growth for us. We now have over 110 offices and more than 3,000 broker associates in the states of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and California. But our higher purpose is living life as a contribution.
And our thanks to John L. Scott and all those that make presenting high school sports possible on TableRockSports.net. Jim McCoy along with Mark McLemore. We're wrapping up this girls ball game, but again, stick around. 7:30 we'll have Challenger boys action for you right here, so don't go away. Caitlin Willard with the basketball. Her pass broken up by Navarro. Navarro quickly up the floor for Moore. She lays it up and in.
And she's been the star. We've mentioned it before for Illinois Valley. Challengers now see if what they can do against this pressure that Illinois Valley's putting on here at the end of the basketball game.
Willard with the basketball, feeds it inside for Haglock. Haglock makes a move. Her shot just a little bit long. And wrestling for it, we have Gomez, also Hannah Hensley, who's checked into the ball game, as well as Callie Sweem. Jump ball the call. Possession arrow goes the Cougars' way. So some of the youngins getting some action here late for Cascade as they lead by 16 in this ball game. Navarro with a drive. She'll kick it out and looking for Miller.
And another turnover for, they've got to be close to 25 by my count here. Turnovers, that is, for Illinois Valley. And
in baseball parlance, a little low and outside on that last pass. And Challengers, you know, they've got some work to do in that department themselves, but tonight.
Yeah, they absolutely do. I don't think they're very far behind. If you look at we'll look at the totals here at the end of the game, but both teams struggling taking care of the basketball.
Hensley with the basketball. She's trapped and now feeds it out for Willard. Willard quickly up the floor, and the pass is taken away. Navarro with it. Feeds it down to, I believe that was Gomez, I believe, that went to the hoop there, and she's now on the floor clutching her ankle. Wincing as she tries to get back up. Everybody kind of clearing away, giving her a little bit of space. And we'll go ahead and take a quick break here while they tend to Gomez. So stick around. We'll be right back on this side of the timeout.
What is a getaway? Is it leaving the familiar behind, or discovering a place that feeds your hunger, where passion sings, food is a culture, and every performance demands an encore? So let the journey be your destination. Then feast your eyes and nourish your soul in Southern Oregon. Your reservation starts when you travel Medford.
For several weeks, the Southern Oregon Sports Commission has shown you examples of good sportsmanship and bad sportsmanship. Here's why. 75% of youth athletes quit sports by the age of 13 because they're not having fun. 75% of rookie referees also quit each year. Why? Well, it's because of the way they're treated by coaches and parents. We can do better. We must do better. Know your role. Learn more at southernoregonsports.com.
Okay, well, we're coming right out of the break now. It is 51-35 Challengers. Kind of had that backwards there on the feed for this evening. I'm not sure. Okay, learning some new equipment here. So let's see here. We got that straightened out. First free throw by LeMasters, no good. It remains. There we go. 51-35 Challengers.
Yeah, well, you know, you got to get it on the right side of the scoreboard there.
Well, it does help. Second attempt, that won't fall either. Rebound by Pearson. She'll outlet for Willard. Willard driving with the left hand. Trapped. Gets it over for Haglock. Haglock starts to make a move to the hoop. Her shot just a little bit underneath the rim. No good. 22 seconds left. Quickly up the floor goes to Navarro. Navarro drives the baseline on the near side. Her shot in and out. Rebound by Haglock. Haglock quickly up the floor for Sweem. Sweem with the basketball, looking for somebody to pass to and maybe rush that one a little bit. And now the Cougars come away with it. Moore with it, starts to drive. Her shot off the window. Will they count it? They will.
It counts.
So a little icing on the cake at the end. Yeah, bring it a little closer, and that will end tonight's ball game, where the Cascade Christian Challengers start out their season with a victory. It is Cascade Christian 51, the Illinois Valley Cougars 35. We'll take a quick timeout, and then Mark will have the final stats for the evening, and then we'll get ready for Challenger boys and Cougar boys basketball coming up on Table Rock Sports.
Dear Dad, I was afraid to say this to your face, but I heard you yelling again from the stands during my game. You were shouting at the coach, the refs, even the other parents. It embarrasses me when you yell at everyone. It really stresses me out. I love sports. I love my team. I just want to play, but not if you always lose your temper. Love, Katie.
Know your role. Learn more at southernoregonsports.com.
To me, when our customers come in and shop with us, a good share of them, Probably the best compliment that I feel I can get is when the customer just shops up and down the aisles and doesn't look at the price tag on the item. They know that if they buy their weekly, monthly, daily needs, that they will save money shopping at our store. That's the best compliment I can get.
Back here at the Pavilion, the Cascade Christian Challenger girls get their season started out right with a 51-37 victory over the Illinois Valley Cougars. With the loss, Illinois Valley slips to 1-2 on the season. The Challengers, close ball game to start out with, a real back and forth affair in the first quarter that looked like we could have the makings of a pretty tight ball game. But in the second quarter, that seems like when the Challengers really hit their stride. In that second frame, the Challengers outscoring the Cougars 17-5 to open up a nice lead by halftime. And then third quarter, the Challengers kept it going and were able to extend that lead, and they were up by as many as 20 at one point here in the second half. And so they rode that wave pretty well, and then, of course, gave a chance to get some of their younger players in the ball game, let them see a few varsity minutes. But Coach John Thomas, his first game as the Challenger head man for the girls program. For those of you who don't customarily follow Challengers basketball, last year Glenn Johannes was the head coach for the program, and then for several years before that it was Scott Martinez. So the Challengers with their third head coach in as many seasons. JT, a veteran coach from around the Rogue Valley. I remember way back in the day him working as an assistant for South Medford, then also coaching for the Crater Comets program, and now he's here at Cascade Christian. I believe time will show that he's been a great find for the Challengers program, and he gets his career started off with a W, and nice to see some players that have been battling injuries work their way back into the lineup. It's also been nice to see some new players, one transfer in particular, Paisley Fish, who started out her Cascade career in fine fashion. And Mark kind of totaling up the numbers from the ball game. We'll go ahead and maybe take a quick 1-minute timeout here, and then we'll be back with more Challenger and Cougars hoops right here on Table Rock Sports.
It takes meticulous planning, continuous monitoring, and forward thinking to deliver the perfect 3-egg omelet.
For several weeks, the Southern Oregon Sports Commission has shown you examples of good sportsmanship and bad sportsmanship. Here's why. 75% of youth athletes quit sports by the age of 13 because they're not having fun. 75% of rookie referees also quit each year. Why? Well, it's because of the way they're treated by coaches and parents. We can do better. We must do better. Know your role. Learn more at southernoregonsports.com.
Back here at the Pavilion, the Cascade Christian Challengers wrapping up a 51-37 victory against the Illinois Valley Cougars. And right now, let's go ahead and take a look at the final stats for the evening.
Yeah, good outing for the Challenger girls. I think a good first game for them. They end up shooting 20 for 52. That's 38% from the field. 10 for 19 from the free throw line. That's 53%. So not too bad all in all for the Challenger girls here for the first game of the season. Illinois Valley, on the other hand, they shoot 15 for 58. That's 26%. And just 4 for 12 from the free throw line. That's 33%. Scoring first for Illinois Valley. Gomez had 8. Miller had 1. Navarro had 13. Tallman with 3. Moore had 6, and LeMasters had 6, and that was the total for Illinois Valley. For Cascade Christian, Joseph with 2, Caitlin Willard had 17. Good job by her taking advantage of opportunities in transition where she got a lot of her points. Paisley Fish had 10. Sophie Ferreira, who had 2 in the first half, ends the game with 14, so she had 12 in the second half. Liz White with 4, and Haglock had 4 as well. The big story of the night, I think, for the Challengers is really something they're going to have to fix. Is they had 29 turnovers in that game. Illinois Valley with 24. So not against Illinois Valley. You know, both teams kind of turned the ball over quite a bit. But you know, you start getting into some other teams that are going to make shots and shoot a little bit better than Illinois Valley did tonight, and you can't afford to have those 29 turnovers. So I'm sure that's one of the things that the Challenger girls are going to work on, is taking better care of the basketball. Is I think that's the one stat that kind of sticks out to me, is those 29 turnovers.
Yep, they got some work to do there. The good news on it, you'd like to think that those kind of things are fixable and somewhat a product of playing your first game of the season and getting your first taste of live action. What we're going to go ahead and do right now, we'll go ahead and kind of take a break for a bit, and then we're going to get ready and get set for the game between the Cascade Christian Challenger boys and the Illinois Valley Cougars, and that will be coming up. The opening tip set for 7:30. Looks like, according to the scoreboard clock, we're about almost 14 minutes away from the start of that game. So we'll take a timeout and kind of do a little bit of housekeeping on our side of things, and then we'll get you ready for that. For Mark McLemore, I'm Jim McCoy. Thanks for joining us on TableRockSports.net.